Well, Atiku was supposed to have a rally in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, today. But that rally was cancelled over fears of violence and insecurity from the Rivers PDP campaign council. Well, the state's governor, Wike, has been at odds with Atiku over zoning. Atiku's presidential campaign council spokesman, Charles Aniagwu, joins us to discuss this. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening.
Yeah, well, it came as a surprise, not to a few, that Atiku would cancel his Rivers campaign, considering the fact that Rivers State definitely, by no means, is a state that you can, wave off as not important. Is it really about insecurity in Rivers State, or was it just the simple fear of Wike, the Wike factor?
No, it couldn't have been fear of the Wike factor. The fact is that Atiku have continued to demonstrate love for every Nigerian. And just like Jonathan, our former president, said in 2015, that his ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. You have seen that in recent time, activities in Rivers tend to have entered a different level. And not long ago, you saw the attempt at one of our leaders in Rivers. And with the utterances emanating from the camp of the governor, and particularly the governor himself, you could tell that they could possibly take steps to undermine a rally, and we don't want a situation where people will come to show support, and at the end of the day, they lose their life or sustain some level of injury. As a political party and as a presidential campaign council, we're already devising ways of also further reaching out to our brothers and sisters in Rivers. PDP is home to Rivers, and we do believe that a number of persons in Rivers will vote Atiku Ukowa, because not only that PDP is handles, or more like controls, majority of the electorate in Rivers, but because they also see Atiku Ukowa as the right ticket in the course of this election.
Yeah, but what's that strategy that you hope to, deploy or employ?
There are so many. As I'm speaking, I'm not only just talking to you and my brother Christian. So you could also speak to them in through many other ways. But the fact is that apart from even having to speak to them through different media of mass communication, we also have leaders in Rivers that have continued to assist us to reach out. You have seen a number of meetings, even where the governor have tried to make it very difficult. The challenge here is that we have seen in recent time in places where leaders, quote and unquote, claim they are very, very popular and they are very much on ground. But you see them expressing fear of even billboards. They are even afraid of billboard that does not even talk. They will prevent you from erecting billboard, prevent you from displaying your posters. The same thing is happening in places like Lagos. And oftentimes we see my colleagues in the media want to ask the other political party, how do you feel now that they did not allow you to advertise or to do A and B in a particular state? I thought that is the responsibility of every Nigerian to express concern, because these are steps that are trying to undermine democracy and the rule of law. We want to be able to have that freedom. If you can freely campaign in Kano, you should also be free to campaign in Rivers. And that way, we are showing that indeed we are one country. But where a governor, out of the fact that he feels aggrieved, personal grievance, and you want to democratize it to the extent that you don't want people to listen to those that are seeking to govern them, that does not in any way promote democracy or advance the unity of this country.
Let's look at your principal, the presidential candidate in Enugu State, and the turnout of the crowd there. But funny enough, he went to visit the governor at the government house, but the governor, Ogwai, wasn't at the stadium, still did not show up. No, is it really, bridging the gap and the discontent amongst this?
If you have followed through the developments in our polity, particularly with respect to the PDP in the last 6.5 months, you could see that Atiku and his running mate have demonstrated what could be said to be very presidential. In the face of provocative utterances emanating from certain persons, they have been able to remain steadfast and not join issues with individuals. And so reaching out to Ugwuanyi is also one of the governors that we respect in our party. They could have their differences, and they have expressed it. Of course, a number of Nigerians are very much aware of what has been termed the G-5. But in the midst of that, Atiku have continued in line with his principle of uniting Nigerians to reach out. And let me tell you, from knowledge of hindsight, that by the grace of God, if Nigerians give Atiku Okowa the opportunity to pilot the affairs of this country on the 25th of February, those who think that Wike or anybody will suffer if Atiku wins, that's not true. That is not the agenda of Atiku. Atiku is interested that even after this election, irrespective of the position you maintain before the election, that is going to carry all Nigerians along. Including
Wike.
Including Wike.
All right.
And that is why the payoff of our campaign is as one.
It will depend on what carry along means. But let's very quickly, I mean, stakeholders' absence in Calabar. You had the governorship candidate of Cross River State of the PDP not showing up. And of course, the chairman of the party did not show up too. Is it a
what could have gone wrong?
Yeah.
You also know the camp they belong. It's not, that shouldn't be a surprise to you. Sandy Ono has continued to also demonstrate this not having enough respect for the party. But even when the leadership of the party have continued to accord them that respect, our presidential candidate have continued to accord them that respect, because we believe that we do need to have a number of persons in position of trust of the same stock, in this case of the PDP, for us to be able to drive down a number of the policies that we are going to put in place for the purpose of recovering our country for where we are. Some of these persons are behaving as if they don't understand that you are not just going to stay alone. For instance, the majority
but why has
Atiku
Atiku not been able to break their ranks? I mean, to weaken it. But we have to leave it there.
Atiku have tried as much as possible to reach out to them, and we will continue to reach out to them even after we have won the election by the grace of God. We wish to bring them in for the purpose of having a united country.
Thank you very much, Charles. Aniagwu is the presidential one of the presidential spokesperson of the Atiku Abubakar Presidential Council and also a Commissioner of Information in Delta State.